Hey, DJ.
Hi, Todd. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
All right. What's the decoration on the wall behind you there?
It's a magnet board.
A magnet board?
Yeah, it's like a metal board and it's got magnets you can
Cool.
put things up on. Doesn't work real well for web casting because it's kind of reflective, but
Oh
well.
Well, it's kind of
Where are
Christmassy,
you at?
actually.
Starbucks?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you're Christmassy too. You got all the red stuff going on.
Cool. It's unfortunate that the Skype video experience has gotten worse over the years.
Yeah, it's kind of spotty. My bandwidth isn't the greatest here, which doesn't help any. Does my video look okay on your end?
You look kind of pale, but
Do I?
but
I can switch off couple of these lights. Maybe that'll help. I've got a couple lights set up here, but sometimes they don't work real well.
Well, your webcam just went away too.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why that happened. Oh, here we go. My mouse. Is that any better, or is that worse?
Yeah, a little better. Yeah, a little more,
Okay.
a little less white.
Okay.
Yeah, I might just need to stick with audio on these things. Do you still do your filter every week?
Yeah, we've been doing it.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Good.
Don't have tons of viewers, a couple hundred a week or so.
Sure.
I'm huge.
That's more than I'm getting.
Yeah, it's so tough. Everybody's doing video.
Kinda. I mean, who else is doing video? Have you seen?
I just mean like conferences and webcasts and all that kind of thing. It's like everybody's throwing something up.
Like, which one has gotten your attention lately?
I'm more looking at the conferencing stuff. A lot of people are doing maybe simulcast of conferences, or
Yes.
I don't see a whole lot of people that are doing kind of online stuff. I think the Giving Rocket and whatever the new sermon thing is, I think they're doing some stuff that's
same guys.
exclusively online stuff. But other than that, most of it's simulcast. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to chat with you about Social Media Church.
Okay.
So it's a weekly podcast where I chat with church leaders about social media. So you connect with a lot of church leaders, and you use a lot of social media. So I want to see what kind of tap into your years of experience in connecting with church leaders and see how you've seen things evolve. We'll probably drill down on your unique angle on producing online events. I think that would be a really valuable angle for our listeners to learn from, because I think one of the frontiers for churches is doing, or the potential opportunity is for churches to be doing more online education and online training. Mm-hmm. And that's my target audience for this podcast, is church leaders, and showing them different examples of how to use social media effectively for extending ministry.
Okay.
All right. So that's how we'll talk about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Cool. All right, DJ Chuang here, and I am with Todd Rhoades of toddrhoades.com, previously of the Monday Morning Insight, and he connects with a lot more church leaders than I do, so I wanted to have a conversation with him to hear about how he's seen the evolution and development of how church leaders are using social media across the board. We'll go 30,000-foot view and then drill down. So let's go chronologically. So you started connecting with church leaders through a couple of venues, Monday Morning Insight and church staffing, and then that's evolved into a prominent role with Leadership Network. So take us through a walk through memory lane, if you would?
Well, sure. Yeah, memory lane in internet years is much shorter than it's kind of like dog years, I think. But yeah, I actually started a website called Church Staffing. That was kind of my first foray, really into online things, or one of the first anyway. And boy, that's been almost 10 years ago, which is a long time. But
Wow, that is a long time.
it's been an interesting journey. I started the website, and as part of that was one of the things I did even before Twitter and Facebook really took off was started blogging. And that was kind of a natural correlation that went along with the church staffing website. And I've kind of kept that up, and it's had different kind of looks and feels over the years. But done blogging. Still, I haven't done a whole lot on Facebook. I use Facebook more for personal type things, and use Twitter for more the website and kind of the connecting church leaders thing. But to me, DJ, and I'd love to hear your take on this too. I think it's constantly progressing and changing. The thing I've noticed with Twitter is, and this change occurred maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, that it kind of reached kind of the breaking point where everybody was on it. And when it did that, it kind of lost, at least for me, part of its value, because it was such a race for so many people to follow everybody and to amass these big group of followers. And that actually happened. But when that happened, it lost a lot of its kind of intimacy, and just it lost. My feeling is everybody kind of got a little bit overexposed. To the point where nobody follows anybody anymore like they used to. It used to be especially in the church world, used to be a fairly small, close-knit group of people that we would follow and kind of converse back and forth. And that's so Twitter for me has lost a lot of that community. It's still very effective, but I mean, has that kind of been your experience as well? Just kind of a lot of almost clutter in some instances. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good observation. The thing with social networks I've noticed is it has a good run for maybe a 3-year window, and then as it becomes more mainstream and becomes noisier, the quality, quantity goes up, quality goes down, and that tends to happen over time. And so people stake out new grounds to kind of start fresh and
And I haven't
quality.
seen, and maybe you, because I love reading a lot of your work, because you're constantly kind of checking out all the new things out there. I haven't seen anything really new come across the pike here that seems to me that's going to take the place. But I'm telling you, the biggest change for me is, I think I've got 15 or 16,000 people that follow me on Twitter. But I had a larger following literally back when it was 4,000 or 5,000. Because those 4,000 or 5,000 people were connected and read, and if you tweeted, it would last for a day or two, and now that if you put out a tweet, it's gone. It's got a lifespan of maybe 5 minutes, sometimes.
Well, 2 to 3 hours according to the statistics, but it depends on the audience. That's right. So.
Yeah, and I think that's probably true, but. For my audience, it seems like if they don't catch it even in the first few minutes, the tail just really goes down quickly, which is it's all cool. It just it's different than it was. Now, interestingly enough, I've just kind of changed my strategy a little bit here in the last month to 60 days, where I'm doing more of a kind of a daily top 10 read list for church leaders, and that's been going really well. But it's driven by social media, but it's still driven primarily via email. And email is still, in my opinion, people. I read a lot of articles that people say email's dead, or it's kind of the whole clutter thing with email too. But still, a lot of the links that I put up are still driven through email newsletters, and kind of supplemented on the back end with some of the Twitter and Facebook.
Fascinating. Well, let's drill down on some of those things. You probably made the biggest splash in connecting with a lot of church leaders through Monday Morning Insight, and that was a weekly email newsletter where your you're an amazing information maven. You're probably scouring thousands of websites for salient articles that are both entertaining as well as insightful for church leaders. And that list has grown over the years. It's taken different formats now that we do have quicker communication channels like Twitter and blogging. But you've kind of kept that up over the years, so you do demonstrate how email is effective. But let's talk a little bit more about Twitter. I used to have more followers than you, and then you exploded. And so what did you do to grow your audience?
I think you know, 2 years ago, I kind of fell trapped to the same game, where I don't know if you did or not, but it was like, I got to get more followers, got to get my. It's like I very seldom ever look. It's probably been a month or two since I've even looked to see what my followers are, and it's steadied off. But I think just creating good content and pointing people to good content builds the community. And I think for what I like to do is kind of search. I love to read and research. I love the church, and the church is quirky and fun, and I love great leadership resources, but I also like kind of the quirky, funny, weird type things. There's so much information out there that's put out for church leaders, and that's one of the things that I think that's changed primarily in the last couple years is. It seems like not as many people are blogging, not as many people. Everybody's on Twitter, but nobody's really listening. But it seems like everybody's creating content, and quite frankly, some of it's just not very good content. Some of it's great. There's a lot of great stuff, but there's a lot of, that people have access to the internet and are able to put stuff up, and it's just not really helpful. So what I like to do is to kind of filter through all of that and find the good stuff and kind of share. So that's been kind of my niche, to try and kind of dig through some of the clutter, saying that nicely in some of the instances, but find the really good things that help me, that would help others, and that's been kind of the way that I've built or whatever.
Yeah, and you have probably more experience than anybody in being a curator of quality content over the years. So I certainly want to express my thanks for you doing that. How do you do that? Can you describe a bit of the workflow?
Sure. There's a couple different ways, and this is constantly kind of changing for me as well. I have probably about 300 or 400 RSS feeds that I work through, and I look mostly at Google Reader, but anything from ministry-related stuff, leadership stuff, technology, and trends are kind of the things that I watch. But I've got it down to a system where I can pretty quickly go through, I think it's 400 or 500 different articles and things that come in every day. But it takes a little bit of time, but I'm able to get through that pretty quickly and kind of eye the things that I think are interesting and good. The other thing that I've done just recently that's also helpful. There's a little bit of duplicity here, but I also just go to Google and I go to YouTube, and with the search mechanisms they have, you can actually search the latest things, like within the last 24 hours of things that have been added. So I'll pick up a lot of really interesting, like, news stories and local TV news reports of churches and things that are going on, good stuff, bad stuff, weird stuff, and all of that is kind of what I use to kind of, and I've been trying to find the top 10 here the last couple months, and it seems to be working really well. But it takes probably from the time I open up my Google Reader until I'm able to get all of them done. I've got it down to a pretty good routine where it takes about an hour and a half or so.
Impressive.
Every day, which is like a lot, or seems like not enough. I don't know, but it seems to be working right now. So I'll stick with it for a little bit. It'll change though in a month. It always.
Well, thanks for doing that. What keeps you going? Does this make you money, or this is just a hobby?
No. My full-time gig still with Leadership Network. So I get up early. I've got 4 kids, but 3 of them are in. Actually, 2 of them are still in high school, so they're up early, and so I'm up. 5:45, 6 o'clock. So by the time they're ready to leave for school, I've got most all of the curation and blog posts and everything done email newsletter ready to go out by the time they go to school. So I really try and get that done early in the day so I can have the rest of the day to do my real job. But no, I've never really either figured out a way or really taken a lot of time to try and monetize it. Kind of what keeps me going is I love it when I got an email this morning from a pastor I didn't know that said, "Thanks for what you do. I read the links and it really helps me in my ministry." And that's really what charges me up is being able to find the resources and put them out there and help some people, because I know being a pastor, being a church leader is one of the toughest jobs I think that are out there. It's stressful and very difficult. So any way I can help, I love to help.
Great. Well, thank you for doing that. And that's the heart we have here at Social Media Church as well. I'm not making a dime on this either. So let's talk a bit about, actually, you mentioned the filter. So as you're filtering content, you've also come up with a video version of that. Introduce that to our listeners.
And I think that's going to change. I'm not quite sure exactly how it's going to change exactly for the first of the year, but my friend Matt Steen from Long Island, and I have been doing this weekly thing where we just kind of get together on a Google Hangout and talk about ministry stuff. And really, it's just the things that interest us and a little bit of talk and chatter. And we're going to get ourselves in trouble probably with some of the things we say on there. We just have fun. Matt loves the church and kind of loves the little idiosyncrasies as well. So we kind of pick at people sometimes, encourage people, and talk about some of the latest current events. But we're going to change the format of it. We've just been kind of sitting around. It's taken 50 minutes to an hour every week, which is way too long for a podcast. But it's been a lot of fun.
Cool. And then let's talk about your work as a Leadership Network. In particular, the online conferences. I think Leadership Network has been connecting innovative churches for 28 years now. And so I've been a part of that team full-time, and then currently contracting. You've been on their team full-time for, going on 6 years now? Is that right?
Probably closer to 7, I think.
Oh, number 7. Well, congratulations. I think you might get a watch out of that or something.
Started back with the 9s on 09, which was kind of a lame brain idea to thought, well, what if we, because we had just done this big conference a year before where we, paid all these speakers to come in and rented the venue, and it was just very costly. And the technology was starting to get to where the video was starting to come on. We thought, well, what if we didn't try doing just a conference online? And we did it 09, called it the 9s, and had a bunch of speakers that we asked speak for 9 minutes on I think what was, trying to think what the first year was, just if I had one thing I could share with the church community, what would it be? But the thing really took off. I mean, we got some great speakers and had a lot of people come and join us this past year. I think was our 4th year of doing it, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4th year. I kind of got lost there, but 4th year, we had about 35,000 church leaders that joined us. We did it from the UK this year to kind of highlight some of our Leadership Network Europe programs. But it's been a great way not only for Leadership Network to kind of spread the word about a lot of the things that we're working on, but also to help and resource thousands of church leaders literally all around the world. It's been a blast to be a part of, and we've got some cool things we're going to do next year as well. We're going to do the 9s again, but a couple other conferences, one on succession, I think, and a couple others on just some innovative things that churches are doing both here in the States and in Europe. So it's been a blast to be a part of, and I think it's a great way for churches. I know it's been a great way for us to kind of spread the word and to do some training and encouragement. And I think in the future, more churches are going to be able to do that. The technology's really come a long way in the past 4 years, and it's only going to get better and more accessible for churches.
Yeah, so essentially it's a online conference, which is a video stream of pre-recorded content, which is shown. There's a screening time that is shown during the day of, so it's what some people might call simulated live. And you incorporate a number of social media elements around that to make it an interactive experience. Can you Tell us what kind of things you did for this time around, because you actually had a 2-day event.
Yeah, we did it. We did the nines for 2 days. It was like 5 hours, or actually almost 6 hours, both days. But the biggest way we tie in social media is mainly Twitter. But if you went to the page that day, you would see the video, but you'd also see some live notes, and you'd also see a live Twitter stream that we were trending worldwide on Twitter for I think both days when we did the nines this past year, which was really awesome. But a lot of comments, a lot of community happens during that time, and it's a lot of fun, not just to watch the video, but also to interact with all the thousands of people that are watching. So it's been, and that social media also from that aspect has helped us to increase the audience quite a lot too, because a lot of people that hadn't heard about the nines actually hear about it on the day of from reading all their the tweets from their followers. So it's been a really fun, but it's been a low cost way for us really to leverage our kind of our platform and our speakers and a lot of the innovations that we're working on. And it's so much of a better solution for us than trying to do the big on-site conference, which for us, we're not conference producers. So it just seemed to be a really good mix for us, and continues to be. We're going to continue to push the edge a little bit. We're going to try some new things this next year. It'll be fun.
Can you give us a little hint or a sneak preview on a couple of those things as an exclusive?
Exclusive? Well, one of the things we're thinking about doing is, we've done both the pre-recorded and we've done mostly short format videos, anywhere from 5 to 9 minutes, and we're still going to use that. That's still going to be primarily, but I think we're going to also do some live roundtables and maybe some breakout sessions on some of our smaller events that we're going to try out. So, for instance, we're going to do one that's going to kind of highlight over a couple of hours 3 different types of church innovation, and then for the last half hour or so, we're going to break it up into 3 different live streams that people will be able to pick and choose and go and interact with specific leaders that they want to. So, just kind of breaking it up a little bit and pushing the technology in new ways, and maybe switching around the formatting a little bit, just to kind of see where it goes and see what is most effective. Mainly for the viewers.
Very cool. We'll definitely stay tuned on that, and I'll add a link in the show notes to Leadership Network, as well as to your website, blog, Twitter feed, everywhere else. So we've talked a lot about resourcing church leaders and helping church leaders connect to church leaders. As a church observer, where are you seeing church leaders using social media effectively to connect with their congregation and to extend their ministry to the world? What are a couple of examples that excite you, that you spotted?
Well, that's a really good question. I think social media is still underutilized by a lot of pastors on a local basis for their local church. Now, I think it's all according to where you're at and what maybe what location you are. Like for me, I live in rural Ohio, so Twitter is not the way to go if you're trying to speak with people at my church. But Facebook absolutely is. Everybody here in my little burb in Ohio is on Facebook. So Facebook is a great way to communicate, and we don't do it as well as we should. But it's a great avenue that I think a lot of local churches haven't used. One trend I saw maybe about a year ago, and I just haven't researched it a whole lot. Maybe you have a little bit more input on this, but I saw a lot of churches starting to use actual Facebook pages. I know Life Church did a lot with this, and I haven't been really back to see what they're doing with it. But they actually, rather than having like a full-blown website, which they still, I think, still have, but a lot of their campuses were just primarily Facebook groups and Facebook pages, which seemed to be really interesting to me. Rather than making people that are already on Facebook go to your website, it was kind of flipping it upside down and saying people are already on Facebook, let's kind of take our page to where they are, which I think is brilliant. And I think there's some openings for more churches to do those kind of things. And I think I read something. I don't know, it was by Bobby or somebody on their team that just said, it makes a lot of sense. It cuts our costs, our production costs way down because we're using somebody else's platform. It puts our stuff where people are already at. So that's an interesting trend that I saw about a year ago, and I just haven't really taken the time to go and see what's happening there as much.
Well, I'll refer you to my list. I put together a list of the top Facebook pages of churches with the most fans.
That came out, was it about like 6 months ago or something that you posted that?
Actually, probably 6 weeks ago. So I'll add a link to my show notes. I updated it. I put a list together a year ago, and then I updated it for this year because things move very fast, and so there were new people in the list and some old people that have stayed on the list. And well, the ones that have tens of thousands of fans, they're using it to connect with the extent of their ministry around the world more so. And I think what you've described is how can we figure out how to use social media more locally. And I think that's a different strategy and a different approach, which Life Church has done well in terms of establishing a separate Facebook page for each of their campuses for more local engagement. And Facebook is kind of quirky. They change the rules every few months. And so what used to be a welcome page where you could really focus your communication is no more. You have to try to figure out how to communicate through a timeline that gets filtered through EdgeRank, where less than 20% of your fans ever see your updates. And that can be rather frustrating.
They changed it up, haven't they? And that's part of the problem with that type of a solution is that you don't own the content, or you don't own the platform, and you don't really own the content either. So as long as they keep things kind of the rules kind of even, you're good. But as soon as they start changing it up, and they've changed a lot in the past year, primarily to, I think, more advertising type model. They want some money to get all the posts where you want them. That's a little.
So what's your take on Google Plus or Pinterest or Instagram?
I have Instagram. My life is not interesting enough to take a lot of pictures. Just throw that out there. It's not. But I think Instagram's cool. Pinterest, I have not gotten into it. And my wife hasn't, but a lot of her friends are, and they're trying to get her to go at it. Google Plus, I love Google Plus, but I've tried 3 or 4 times to make a real concerted effort to connect on Google Plus, and just there's not a whole lot of our church peeps that are over there yet. I wish they would. I love the platform, and like I said, I would use Google Plus more as a church platform, as a professional platform, than what I would Facebook. I've just not. Facebook's a really confusing place still. So I use Facebook a lot for the people that I know locally that are part of my church and my friends here locally. But I don't follow a lot of ministry people on it because most of the ministry people I follow on Facebook post everything they do on Facebook on their Twitter, and I already follow them on Twitter. So it's kind of double dip in there. So
Yeah. Well, great connecting with you, Todd. Thank you for being part of this conversation and doing what you're doing.
You too, DJ. It's always good to talk to you.
Likewise. Okay, I'm going to hit the stop button.